Yes.
Item A.
At the board's April 24th meeting, a few residents attended and voiced concerns about lack of a sanctioned crossing on Eagleridge at Eagleridge Drive. The day after the trustee meeting, I did receive a letter from the Eagleridge Master Association requesting the board's consideration in installing a crosswalk. The Eagleridge Master Association cites with the reduction in the code of busing, more and more students are walking to school or catching rides, causing pedestrians to cross Eagleridge to access the existing sidewalk located on the west side of Eagleridge. Eagleridge Drive is the only street intersecting Eagleridge from the east, so the same issue is not necessarily represented anywhere else along this stretch of Eagleridge. The intersection's proximity to the roundabout in Lakota West High School may lend support for a designated crosswalk. Those are what I'm citing from the Eagleridge Masters Association. Staff has conducted its research as the board directed at your April 24th meeting, and I would present for the board's consideration the following plan. Based on required engineering and signage specifications, the Butler County Engineers Office recommends, as illustrated in the aerial, the existing sidewalks along the west side of Eagleridge and currently along Eagleridge Drive be extended to transition to Eagleridge and be equipped with handicap accessible ramps at both curbs. Those are what you see in the white portion. And then, of course, the crosswalk markings need to be painted on Eagleridge Drive specifically. Also, applicable signage must be installed to alert the motorists. I believe it's important to note that should the board move forward with this project and direct staff to execute it, it's installing the crosswalk and the signage does not create an invincibly safe environment and does not alleviate the pedestrian from their personal liability for safety. The cost of the sidewalk installation is approximately $4,700, and it can be absorbed by the township's 2012 curb contract. Previously, in the last couple months, the board did issue a contract with Jackson Construction Incorporated to effectuate all of your curb replacement program, and this cost can be absorbed by the curb contractor. He can perform the work with no detriment to the current contract or requirement to increase the existing PO, so it can be fully absorbed. The signage can be the required signage, which is indicated in the yellow traffic regulatory markings. You'll see the two signs on either side of Eagleridge. Can be manufactured and installed in-house at limited cost. I don't know the exact cost of that, but I can get that should the board wish. Please advise how the board would like to proceed. If the board directs me to execute this project, I would recommend, although the Eagleridge Masters Association has formally requested the board's consideration of this project, I would still recommend that the township contact the property owners abutting the work to be performed and notice them of the scope and schedule of this project. Although all of the work will be performed in the right-of-way and it's not private property, I believe it's courteous to inform the residents, and in one instance, a tree would need to be slightly pruned. So, the board did direct me to present this information to you at this meeting and just regards how the board would like to proceed.
I would like to make a motion that we proceed with this project. This is important for the safety of the residents.
As described by Mrs. Boyko. I'm leaning in the same direction because this is an issue of bystander safety. With more and more children walking to school, and the high school is so close to this location, I can see where it would perhaps improve the safety, although I think Mrs. Boyko is well-spoken in saying that it doesn't absolve anybody of the responsibility of being careful when they cross. Mr. Lang, did you have any comments?
I'm in the same direction as well. I would just, the first time we saw this was this evening. Normally we get information in advance. We did not. So I would just like to table it till the next meeting and bring it up then.
It's not a complex project. It's approximately $4,700.
I just like to think those through. I'm leaning towards supporting it, but 2 weeks it won't affect the timing of getting the project done.
Would you like to wait, Mr. Wong, or would you like to move ahead now?
I think we should just move on.
Okay, in the interest of safety, if this were a more complex project, I would agree with you, Mr. Lang. I think it's fairly straightforward. We have the funding available and allocated within our CURB contract.
I
So-
just think it's not a good precedent for us to make decisions without having time to think about the consequences. Normally, we're well prepared way in advance, and we have not been on this one. I'm pretty sure I can support this, but with the first time seeing it, normally we have the information well in advance so we can study it, we can ask questions ahead of time. We got this information as we walked in the door tonight.
Well-
I don't see the harm in waiting 2 weeks.
I think you make a good point, but I think embedded in this project is also going out to discuss with the neighbors to notify them of what the township is looking at, because I think it's
I'm sorry, I didn't know
worthwhile. Oh, within the scope of this project, the township staff plans to go out and notify the neighbors of the project and the scope. So certainly the neighbors will have an opportunity to comment on it at that time as we're going forward. And I'm sure they would probably bring up anything to our notice that we haven't already addressed in.
Well, I'd like to talk to the engineer to see what he thinks that it might do in terms of backing up the roundabout and any negative repercussions that comes as a result of that. This does not relieve the people, the pedestrians, from their liability. If I understand what Ms. Boyko said, they still have to be responsible for their own safety. So now we have cars that are used to having the right-of-way, and we're going to have pedestrians that think they have the right-of-way. And does this pose the opportunity for to increase accidents when our we're hoping to reduce accidents? Does it have the unintended consequence of actually reducing accidents through people not being prepared and through the backing up of the roundabout? I don't know. These are all just things I'd like to explore. As I said, we just got this. Waiting 2 weeks, it's a simple decision. Waiting 2 weeks, I don't see the harm in that.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Yes, did you check with the engineer's office? Did you have anything you wanted to add, Ms.?
No, I think just that there is no, if the board so desires to have additional time to contemplate the information that was presented this evening, certainly there is no detriment. The contractor has approved that cost, and it is going to be the cost, so we'll not see an increase in cost if the decision is delayed for another 2 weeks. But just wanted to make sure the board's aware.
I'm concerned is that the school is still going on. There's a lot of residents crossing the road every day, and that we have residents living there who is almost blind, as you can hear Mr. Cho's testimony the other night, and that the school is still ongoing, and that I just hate to see someone get killed before we do anything backpedaling here. That this has been, they have asked this for over a year.
There was one other aspect of this project which wasn't brought up, and that was lighting. Are there any street lights near that corner? Because I know if we're talking about children going to school, high schoolers go to school while it's still dark in the wintertime. Do we have any street lights?
Yes, there are streetlights, I believe,
There
on
are street
Eagleridge.
lights right there.
I believe so. But certainly that may be an issue that Mr. Lang, in terms of the safety of the roundabout, wanted to check, so.
Have we discussed any of this? Well, you did mention that you had discussed with the engineer going forward how it should be constructed and designed.
Yes,
Did they have any issues? Were they concerned about any traffic issues there? The engineer's office?
He did not specifically share any with me. However, if Trustee Lang feels that he needs to do his due diligence and request that information, I certainly would like for him to be able to have that opportunity.
I have no problems. My sense is that it wouldn't hold up actually the implementation of this all that long, since it's going to be done by the same contractor in the course of his curb work this spring. That's correct, isn't it?
I don't think it will slow down the implementation at all.
There would be no cost increase for the delay.
Correct.
Well, there is a cost increase. It'll just be absorbed into the current contract, but there is cost.
No, if the board decides to render a decision at its next meeting, then the cost of the $4,700 quote is still going to be preserved. It's just by waiting 2 weeks, you're not going to
There's
see
an
it.
additional
Will
cost.
increase the cost. I misunderstood
Yeah.
what Mr. Wong was saying.
Mr. Wong, do you have a problem waiting 2 weeks, and we'll vote next meeting?
I think we should go forward.
Okay, I have to tell you.
It's very simple.
Yeah, like I said before, if this were a complex project, I would have concerns. I don't think if we vote to go forward, that stops you. If you have issues that you think haven't been brought up and discussed, I think you should go ahead and bring them up with staff or...
I agree with you. It doesn't seem like a complex issue, but with us just having this, none of us have time to even consider it. And I just don't see the harm in waiting 2 weeks. It's not going to slow the project down by 1 second. Assuming we approve this, the project will still get done on the same time, and whether we wait 2 weeks or not. This will not increase the project. It will not increase safety in the interim until the project is done, assuming this project can increase safety. And it'll give us all the time to make what I think would be a more intelligent decision.
Well, the engineer done the study.
I'm not seeing a report from the engineer.
We have consulted Butler County engineer, and that the...
Did you consult the engineer?
Yes, he did.
Who did you talk to this?
Tim Frank spoke with Matt Luffler, and I talked to Greg directly, just to get the design. This design is from them, it's not the township,
Okay.
since they're our traffic engineer. This is their recommendation.
So they just made the design, they've not talked about if the project makes sense or not?
Well, I believe that he said that there is some benefit to it, yes.
Okay.
The county engineer's office did indicate that there would be some benefit in making that connection between Eaglet and across Eagleridge.
Okay. I'm still where I'm at. I'd like to hold off 2 weeks.
Okay.
It won't affect one thing.
And you'd still like to move forward
I
with
think
it?
we should move forward. This is not U.S. Congress, get nothing done.
Yeah.
This is just a small matter that there's no reason to really stall it. So
This is like U.S. Congress. Let's just spend more money without taking the time to truly vet the progress or the project.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Wong. I just don't see the complexity here that would require more discussion. We've conferred with the Butler County engineer and their engineers on it. They don't have a problem with it, in fact, see some benefit to it. And I can't see delaying it. This way the contractor can get his people and his timing in line earlier to move forward on it. So with that, do we have anything else we'd like to add to the discussion? Have we already made a motion, or do we need to make a motion
No,
at this
we've only
time?
made a motion, we've not seconded it.
Okay, then I'll second the motion. Any more discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
I will abstain.
Thank you. Mrs.